Hi there, and welcome to the Mindful Marathon podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Quirk, a run coach and pediatrician. Mindful Marathon is all about helping runners of all types to run their own race. Whether you are a seasoned runner or you're just getting started, I want to let you know that you're welcome here and that you're in the right place. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. If we haven't met before, I'm Dr. Michelle Quirk. I'm a pediatrician and a run coach and the founder of Mindful Marathon. And I would like to welcome a very special guest to the podcast today. We are going to be talking about how our nervous system influences performance, resilience, and even our enjoyment of running. My guest is Michael Allison, who is a performance coach, educator, and author of The Performance Code. And his work brings polyvagal theory into sports, leadership, health, and wellness. So, Michael, I'm very excited to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. And I look forward, as we were talking about, to seeing how this plays out together.
Yeah, so I met you while I took the Play Zone course a couple of years ago, which we'll
Mhm.
get into. And I'm very excited for this chat and then also about your upcoming book. So maybe as a place to start, for listeners who have never heard the term before, could you give us a brief introduction to what polyvagal theory is? I know that's hard to make it brief.
That'll be our first and our last question,
Okay.
everyone. No, 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 I'll be brief. So that's a body of work by Dr. Stephen Porges, and he was essentially studying the nervous system for 40 or 50 years. He's been affiliated with a number of universities. He's actually recognized as a distinguished scientist. And to make it something that's understandable and so we aren't talking about it for the entire hour. Basically, our physiological state, meaning how our body is breathing, how our heart patterns are in the moment, how much energy we have flowing through our body, our muscle tension, our metabolic output, how our organs are functioning, all of these different attributes that are really organized by the autonomic nervous system beneath our conscious control or conscious awareness, how that really shapes how we experience the world, how we experience our place in the world, how others experience us. So that piece is a really big part of polyvagal theory, but it's also a way now, once we get that, it's a way to start looking at the world and looking at our behaviors, looking at how we're interacting from a different lens, from
Mhm.
that perspective. Oh, so how might my physiology be in this moment? And how might that really be shaping how I am relating or not relating, how I'm showing up? Am I showing up how I would intend to, or how I would really aspire to be as a human? Or am I showing up in ways that aren't necessarily aligned with that, right? And so that's the big piece for me of polyvagal theory. And then second to that is how vital social relationships, especially safe and playful and
Mhm.
trusting relationships, are. And polyvagal theory really explained the underlying neurophysiology, the mechanisms, the neuroanatomy for why that's true. We know it's true, right? We know when we're with someone we really either love or care for, or with our friends, like in marathoning or running.
Yep.
We know how, when we're with the people that we can be ourselves with, how great that feels. It feels great because it's actually changing that physiology where we started. It's changing the state we're in.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that to me is the essence of polyvagal theory
Yeah.
in a way that's usable.
No, that's great. And for everybody listening, hopefully we didn't lose you and we're taking this back to running. But how
Mm.
I found the play zone was really, I think I may have heard you speak. A friend of mine sent me some body of writing and it had to do, I think, with performance anxiety, maybe why a competitive athlete or an elite athlete chokes
Mhm.
under pressure. And I was translating that into pressure that runners feel at the start line. And so
Mhm.
you've adapted polyvagal theory for athletes and for performers. And that
Yes.
is what the play zone is about. Could you talk about
Yes.
that just a little bit?
Yeah, yeah. So when I first was reading about polyvagal theory, and it had a really, and it still does today, it's very well known in the world of trauma and
Hmm.
healing and therapy and clinical work, which I'm not. I come at this from a health and fitness background.
Yes.
I owned a facility in Santa Barbara for 25 years where I trained people in movement and nutrition and sleep and all of these lifestyle habits that were about optimizing life performance. That's what I called it. I called it life performance. I actually wrote a book many years ago. No one's read, but on life performance. Okay. That was when I came into polyvagal theory, I was coming from that lens. And so to me, it laid out a template. It
Hmm.
explained why these different behaviors actually led to well-being, right?
Yeah.
Why they were actually, or even why my facility that I was running at the time, why it was working, because
Mhm.
people were coming in, they were moving together, just
Yeah.
like running together.
Yeah.
And through that, they were connecting. So they're doing a shared activity that was elevating heart rate. And then there's recovery, elevating and recovery. So you have this rhythm. And then in between stuff, they're talking, they're smiling, they're laughing, they're sharing real stories, right? And so
Yeah.
it was now the play zone. That's what it was. It was play, which is a movement, energy output, right? Running with social connection,
Mhm.
with the sense of we're not alone. I'm not doing this by myself. I'm actually with trusted others and we're doing this together. And yeah, it's great. And
Mhm.
so that's what it was. And that is what naturally for me morphed into the course that you took,
Mhm.
morphed into the books, morphed into really trying to help high achievers and high performers in high stakes environments where there really is a lot on the line, or even a marathoner who's a mother who has trained for 6 months and shows up. There's a lot on the line. They put a lot of effort into this, right? And they've made a lot of sacrifices along the way. And so to me, it was a way to help those who are in those situations make sense of why they're feeling whatever it is they're feeling. Whatever experience they're having, actually, we can really interpret and make sense of it from this lens. And that insight and that awareness can, in and of itself, be very helpful.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
I think that I was drawn to your work because I named the company Mindful Marathon, but I have been trying to
Mhm.
help runners have awareness about how their body is feeling in pockets of time, like when we're training, when we're resting, when we're at a start line, and what is at stake. So I
Yes.
think that's why I was drawn to this in the first place. And you are a marathoner yourself, and we were chatting before. Michael shared this lovely reflection of his very first Boston Marathon. But I was wondering before we chatted, was that before you knew about polyvagal theory and the play zone and all of
Way,
that?
yeah. So that was in 2008. So
Right.
I am still a runner,
Yes.
but not a marathoner.
Well, you're
So,
always a marathoner.
but yes, I'm not running marathons at this point in my life, but I still run most every day.
Oh,
And
okay.
but short. So, but it's something I still do. And it's something I love to do, especially when I travel.
Yeah.
So to me, running through a city, running in different areas, it's such a way to take in the whole environment. So
Right.
that's partly why I'm still running is so that I'm capable of doing that, right? So,
Yes.
but yeah, that what I shared with you was from 2000, and it was a reflection after having run the Boston Marathon for the first time. That whole maybe this will be relatable to all of those that you're with. So I'm married. My wife is 60. When she turned 50, she did an Ironman. Okay. So, yes. So I'm married to not only a marathoner, she's done several, but she's also an Ironman.
Amazing.
Go back in time. So she was in college when triathlon was just beginning. Okay.
Okay.
So back in the like 1984 is when she graduated high school. 84, and she was in San Diego. She went to San Diego State in 85. And that was the beginning of triathlon. So I'm married to someone who comes from that whole background. Okay. So
Amazing. Yes.
we have our first baby. We just have our second. And so it's like around 2004, 2005. So we have two little girls, and we go to do this little local run together. She goes to do this little local run here, right here in Santa Barbara. And I'm just there to support her. And I'm like, should I run with you? She's like, sure, okay, run with me. So I'm wearing dress pants, like khaki pants and a shirt.
Yeah.
And so I'm running with her and I'm talking to her the whole time and I'm driving her crazy. And she's stop talking. I'm like, what? She's just go ahead of me. Go. Don't leave me. And so I end up cruising and I'm like, wow, this is actually fun. I can run. I played
Yeah.
sports. I didn't
Yeah.
run. And so I run and I end up getting, I don't know, like fifth in this thing. And I'm
Great.
wearing khaki pants. And so that was like, oh, wow, this is really interesting. And so there was somebody I knew, I owned this gym, like I was telling you
Mhm.
about, who he wanted to do a marathon. It's, I'll help you do a marathon. And so I would run with him from time to time, and I really helped design his program. But
Yeah.
my philosophy, which may be different than a lot of philosophies, is I was very aware of not overtraining. So to
Mhm.
me, overtraining is one of the biggest things. As an athlete and as someone who trained a lot of athletes, the
Yes.
overtraining piece was a big part and very, very important to me.
Yep.
The other part was not running slower than what you want to run. So
Mhm.
whatever your goal time is, if you have one, I was like, why would I train myself to run slower? Oh, so you build up endurance. Yeah, okay, I get that, and you build up tolerance, but it's also training your body to move less efficiently, to move at a slower pace, to not have the elasticity in the tissue that is actually needed when I'm going to run marathon pace, whatever my
Mhm.
pace is.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I didn't train for very many miles.
Yeah.
In fact, I never ran more than about a half, 13 or
Mhm.
14 miles, and then I would run the marathon.
Yep.
So we go to San Diego. I was going to run the rock and roll marathon with this guy. Same kind of thing. I go out, leave me alone. You drive me crazy. So I just run off ahead. I end up running a 3:20.
Wow.
Okay. I'm 30, I was like 34, 35 years old at the
Wow.
time. And so I finish. My
Yep.
wife was out there. I never saw her. I finish and I call her and I'm like, where are you? Where are you? And I'm like, I'm finished. And she goes, what? I go, yeah. She goes, what was your time? I go, I don't know. I saw 3:20 on the clock when I came in. And she goes, you're going to Boston. And I
Did you
go,
know what
what is,
that? You didn't even know what that was.
no, I didn't even know what that meant.
That's
I
amazing.
had no idea. She's screaming on the phone, you're going to Boston. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So, oh, you're going to Boston. So anyway, I went, that was the beginning
Wow.
of that whole story that I shared with you. So I came into this married to somebody who knew all of the history. She
Yeah.
is early on in the whole thing. So we go to Boston and we see all these people that she had marveled with. It just so happened the Olympic female qualifying was going on the day before the event. So we got to be there and watch Joan Benoit and all of
Oh my
these,
gosh.
all of her idols.
Yeah.
Greta was there. We got pictures with all. So it was just this
Wow.
incredible experience wrapped up into that run that I shared with you. So
Wow.
that's a long story of how I didn't know anything about running,
Yeah.
but got swept away by by
Yeah.
all of it, but really because of my wife.
I'll say that's amazing. And go her. And go
Yes.
you. Sidebar, my husband and I did our first Ironman 70.3 last
Hmm.
summer. I should clarify. He did the whole thing. I did the relay. So I swam and ran, and my friend
Nice.
Alex was my cycling leg. And it
Nice.
it was the hottest day of the summer. It was so hot, but we did it. But yeah, a full Ironman. Wow, that's a lot of
Yeah.
yeah.
That is a whole other story.
Yes.
That
Well,
is, yeah, that was a lot.
I'm
That
sure.
was a lot.
But what I was thinking when I was reading your Boston reflection, so I gathered there were a lot of emotions, both, positive
Hmm.
and negative there. But
Hmm.
my question for you was really knowing what you know now, maybe what would you go back
Hmm.
and tell yourself at that starting line?
Yeah. So the whole experience, because I didn't know what I know now, in a way, had more up and down. It had more to it than I think it might have doing it now. Like when I
Mhm.
was rereading my honest reflection of what that was like, There was parts in there where I talked about fighting myself, or I talked about fighting through the pain. I wouldn't have that approach now.
Yeah.
I would recognize the struggle. I would recognize what I'm actually doing, the cramping. I started the cramp right near the end, 20 after Heartbreak Hill. And I would have softened around that a little more now. I don't know how it would have played out if it would have played out any differently,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't have gone up against it as as much as it sounded like I was when I reflected back. That's one thing. The other thing I would still do, which I love that I did, I'm amazed that I did, is how I was slapping the little kids'
Oh,
hands
yes.
all the way
Yes.
along. I was feeding off of people.
Yeah.
Especially little children. And obviously, it's because I had small girls at the time. So my girls were little. And so I was really connected to the children along the whole thing. And I was
Mhm.
feeding off of that. Now I understand why that
Yes.
works. At the
Yeah.
time, I didn't. I just knew I loved it and I knew it
Mhm.
felt really good. And so those were the things that kind of jumped out reflecting back as I was fighting a little bit of what was actually happening in my body.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I really was being lifted by people.
Yeah. I think that's why I love the race experience so much. I
Mhm.
love running by myself, but I
Mhm.
also love the race experience,
Do
the
you,
spectators, and yeah.
so a lot of people listen to music and things when they run races. I never did.
No, I don't. Yeah. No.
And I think, and I didn't know at the time either, but I think it's because I would have missed out on the connection to
Yeah.
other.
We have a lot of great races here in Philadelphia, but the Broad
Hmm.
Street Run is a 10-mile race right down Broad Street. And I feel like it gives you the character of all of the neighborhoods of the city. And I like to say it's also all of Philadelphia's characters who are out, but if you have
Yes.
headphones in, you will definitely miss it.
You miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, that understanding now, I would absolutely do the same thing. I would soften a little bit. And at the beginning of the race, that pre-race anxiety, jitters, nervousness, whatever we want to call it, getting really excited, having to run to the porter potty,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
That is simply the body, the nervous system preparing, right? Preparing for the uncertainty, preparing for the output that it knows it's going to endure. And so instead of that ever becoming something that you resist or are fearful of in and of itself, it's just aligning with it. Okay, there it is. There it is. And I don't need to do anything with this other than acknowledge it and allow it and in a way accept it.
Yeah.
And that's different, right? And then, like I did, which also I didn't, I was just doing it out of blind ignorance. But is I was really talking to the girl next to me on the bus, right? I
Yes.
was talking to
Yes.
the people that we were all waiting because at Boston, they shuttle you out and you have to wait for 3 hours till you start. I was really talking to a lot of people. And at that point in my life, I wasn't very social. I
Yeah.
was much more of a hermit, much more to myself, like you were talking about running I never,
Yes.
I would run by myself. So that I would do too, because that what we talked about with play by definition is mobilization. There's energy, there's elevated heart rate, there's energy output, there's a body preparing to move or body already moving in rhythm with social relationships, connection. So just take that nervous energy and talk to someone you trust, talk
Mhm.
to a teammate, talk to another mom, talk to whatever, right? And just go with it instead
Yeah.
of clamping down on it.
Yeah. Share the nervous energy a little bit.
Yeah, it can become play. It can
Yeah.
become helpful.
Yeah. Has in your current running life, have you changed the way that you train and recover, knowing what you know? I imagine it's different because we're further in the future and we're both older than we were in 2008, but
Hey, yes. Yeah, so as I was saying, I run much shorter, 5 miles, 4 miles, three
Mhm.
miles, hills, trails, run with my dog.
Yeah.
And it's not, I was not, even when even when I had time goals with marathons, I very rarely ran with a watch. That's just not where I go. I don't like to monitor everything. So I've always run more free, although I had a time goal. It's, as you saw in that, what I was writing, I was going to go sub 3. I knew I could go sub 3 just because I had run without doing anything and it was a 3:20. And I had run a half marathon at a 1:21. So I knew sub 3 was absolutely doable. And I was watching the clock during that race, but
Yeah.
I never ran with a clock. And I just don't, that's just not what I like to do. To me, running it's really for me now just something to do where it's healthy. I'm outside. I don't run on a treadmill. I run outside. I try to run on trails or in beautiful areas. So I'm kind of getting the nature part. I often run with my dog. I still don't run with people. A lot of my wife runs with a group all the time. That's what
Oh,
she
wow.
needs to
Okay.
run is with a
Yeah.
group. In Santa
Right.
Barbara, there's a huge running community. So she always runs with groups. That's her thing. That's just never been my thing. I was more just by myself and
Same. Yeah.
no music, just out, quiet, nature.
Yeah.
So that's still the same. And I think we can go here. It would be interesting to see. The place where I go with all of this is why are you running? Are you
Mhm.
running to get somewhere? Are you running to get away from something? And just acknowledging what are you running from or to
Two.
or why?
Yeah.
I think, at least here in this community, and even in my past, there's a lot of long distance running because that's the way that either someone channels their unsettled restlessness,
Yeah.
right? And it's
Yep.
something to do with that, or it's a way to run through that and get to now feeling better, at least temporarily afterwards. And there's a lot of biochemistry and physiology for why that happens. It also might be the way that we connect. If we run like my wife and she runs with
Mm.
other friends. And so I think it's just really helpful now that we're trying, and what you call this mindful marathoning, we're trying to move through life with more awareness,
Yeah.
more conscious awareness, right?
Yes.
And whether that's running, whether that's being a parent, whether that's just having this conversation. And it doesn't mean it's good or bad, right or wrong. It's just, oh, at least I want to be aware of why am I running?
Yeah. I think I wasn't aware when I started running. I was like not a runner or an athlete, and I was going through a very difficult time after my residency, and my dad passed away. It
Mm-hmm.
was like all of the stressors all at once. And I came at it from I'm not practicing what I preach to my patients about
Mm-hmm.
exercise. So running has a low barrier of entry. I have a pair of running shoes in the closet collecting dust. I will go 5 minutes around the block. But when I started to enjoy it, I don't think I could have told you why at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That took years to figure out, okay, I had
Mm-hmm.
this time with myself, with my unsettled feelings, with the
Mm-hmm.
grief of losing my dad, with trying to
Mm-hmm.
find myself in this profession and what I want to do with it. There were just so many things
Yeah.
from,
Yeah.
10 years ago.
So maybe when you ask yourself that question, you really don't know. But at least that to me is the beginning of setting the
Yeah.
intention to just go, okay, why am I doing this? And what is this actually doing for me? Oh, okay, that's it. And again, it doesn't mean we stop. It doesn't mean we do more of it. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
any of that. It can mean a different thing for all of us,
Yeah.
right? But to me, I don't think I was doing that either. I think that's part of the progression.
Yeah.
That's part of the progression of becoming more mindful or more
Mhm.
aware. And a big part of that in my life has been this piece on how the nervous system is doing a lot of things beneath the skin that we can become more or less aware of and recognize how that really is shaping a lot of this experience. It's not everything, but it can be a really powerful lens to
Yeah.
help.
I feel I don't remember all of the lessons, but I feel like attention and awareness were way at the beginning of the
That
process.
there it yes, it's attention, it's awareness first.
Yeah.
And then I think since you've come through, I think I've really added in acceptance. So it's awareness with acceptance. Okay, this is what's happening. This is it. I'm okay. And then where can we move our attention? And it might be running, might be petting my dog, it might be listening to music, it might be just being in the experience in and of itself. So yes, it's the three A's now. It might have just been two when you
Yeah.
went through. But yeah.
Yeah, but and I think a lot of runners, especially new athletes who come to me, usually I ask a question in the new athlete call, why do you run or why do you
Hmm.
have the goal that you have? And a lot of times people can't articulate it at the beginning, or it's all about times or distances or a Boston qualifying time,
Hmm.
something like that. And so part of my
Hmm.
job to help them get to that answer, maybe just to become
Hmm.
aware of the deeper why behind it, but behind all the numbers and all the paces and everything.
Exactly, exactly. And that might take years, as
Yes.
you just acknowledged, and as
Yes.
I acknowledged, right? That's what it was really fun to read what I wrote in
Yeah.
2008. Wow. Okay. I really have grown,
Yeah.
and I was doing things then that I wasn't really aware of, but there are things that I would still do today. So that was kind of cool. Like you mentioned that you've journaled about with
Yes.
some of your races, and I think something like that can be so helpful, right? So, what the beauty of a race or the beauty of a challenge that stretches you, or one that you do with other people, or one that you do and then your significant other or friends are there with you when you finish, is you are, in a way, you're moving yourself into a physiology after the challenge and sometimes during the challenge that is bringing you into a state closer to homeostasis than you might be normally. And it might, if it has others interacting in that, now you're bringing in oxytocin and some of the other neuropeptides. And so you're in this place where now, if you really reflect, huh, maybe you can start really seeing the underlying deeper why for why you're doing this or what's really important to you or who is really important to you. So, in a way, these types of activities can shift and guide our state into a place where what really can emerge is a deeper connection to who or what matters to us. So that's another benefit that not everybody has, and we can get there. So that to me, when I read that piece, I'm like, ah, where do I get that now in my life? Because that challenge was huge. And through that challenge coming through, there was some deep reflection.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And you,
Cool.
that's what you
Yeah.
were sharing too. So it does provide those opportunities that when we just move through life day to day, we might not open up to those things.
Yeah. I try to, I have reflections on some of the major, like the first half marathon, the first marathon. I wrote a
Hmm.
lot about this half Ironman last summer. That
Hmm.
swim, it was treacherous in the lake. And I go back to that a lot. I still have a little bit of trouble believing that I did that swim. Because if you had shown me a video of that water and been like, do you want to do that? And I'd be like, no, thank you. I will stick to
No
running on the
way.
road.
Hmm.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm still grappling with there's that part of
Hmm.
me that had the courage to do that and did that. And how do I
Hmm.
bring that into other parts of my life?
So what do you do? So in that, do you then, I do a lot of work with high performers, athletic professionals who there is a lot on the line. Everything's on the line in that
Yeah,
moment.
yeah,
And that what you just said is also really helpful for all of us is that when you've accomplished something like that's a fact. You did it.
yes, yes,
You did that.
yes,
And it was beyond what you maybe thought you could do. You had others around you who were doing it too, so you're doing it. I'm part, okay, I'm doing it. And you did it, but that's a fact. So that capacity is in you wherever it is. It could be a difficult conversation, it could be having to go do something else that you're really afraid of. And so
yeah.
that to me, tapping back into that, not only the memory, but where it
Mhm.
really becomes powerful is when you can tap back into
Yeah. Tell
the
you
feeling.
what changed. In some ways, I didn't know what I didn't know because we had
Mhm.
done a number of open water swims and we had practiced, but we swam in the Atlantic a little bit, and that was
Hmm.
wavy, but you
Hmm.
could swim out past where the waves were breaking. So,
Yes.
and in the lake, the wind picked up, and so the waves were just sloshing everywhere.
There's nowhere to go.
No,
Yeah, there's
no
nowhere to go.
pattern.
Yeah.
So the first quarter mile, I freaked out a little bit. I could tell.
Yep.
Heart rate was up. I was like, this is not
Yep.
going well. I'm swallowing water. There were
Yep.
big, huge men asking to be pulled out. So I thought, okay, I'm moving forward. Here are the facts. I'm swimming. I remember how to swim. I'm moving toward the first buoy. I'm going slow, but I'm
Hmm.
moving. And I call her Negative Nancy over here, who's like, what are you doing here? You're not even a real swimmer. Why did you
Hmm.
sign up for this? Big guys are stronger than you and they can't do it. What makes you think you can? Anyway, I decided when I got to the first buoy, it was a quarter mile in. Negative
Hmm.
Nancy needs to go. And I just shut her off and I started repeating things that I know. I know how to
Hmm.
swim. I'm moving forward. I feel safe. That was another one. Yes, the conditions are not ideal, but I don't
Hmm.
feel unsafe. And I'm moving. And every buoy, I cheered for myself. 20 buoys.
Nice. 20 buoys.
So the mantra was get to the next buoy, get to the next buoy.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't
Oh,
know, at some point I was like, okay, we're two-thirds of the way there. Now we're just cruising with the current, even though that was not true. There were
as
some
you were telling
lies.
yourself, like
Yeah.
the first triathlon I did, again, I got roped into it because my wife was triathlete, Ironman,
Yeah.
all of that, right? So I do this triathlon and it was a mile swim, and I'm not a swimmer. And in fact, I took a swimming lesson prior to this, and the swim instructor was holding me in the water. So he's adjusting my body positioning in the water, and I'm all this. And then he goes, okay, start kicking. He's holding me, and I start kicking, and he starts laughing. And I'm like, what? He goes, you're going backwards. I've never in all my years seen someone kick and go backwards. This is amazing. So, needless to say, not a very good swimmer. And so I go to get a wetsuit because we're swimming in the Pacific right
Oh,
here off
yeah,
the
yeah,
coast of Santa
yeah.
Barbara. It's called the
Oh,
Santa Barbara Triathlon. And it was a long course. So I get a wetsuit, and the guy who sold me the wetsuit, look, when you wear this thing, you're just gonna float like a cork. I'm like, really? He's, oh yeah, you just float like a cork. It's amazing. And so all I kept hearing was float like a cork. And maybe it was like this for the lake. Was it a mass start? People are just running, and you're running out into the water, and it's
yeah.
like, so I go running out with everybody. Heart rate's just going off the charts, right? So if we were talking polyvagal theory, I was in complete
Yeah.
sympathetically
Yes.
dominant, heart
Yes.
rate's going,
Mhm.
all this excitement. Yeah, I'm gonna go charge with and 60 other guys my age. I think I was 45 at the time or somewhere in there. So you got all these 60, 45-year-olds running in there, charging it, bumping into each other, heart rate's going off the charts. I hit the water, I take 3 strokes, and I'm freaking out. I
Yeah.
pop up,
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't swim.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Float like a
And I
cork.
had that experience that you had. I'm like, float like a cork. I can't even float like a cork. I'm scared to death. This
Yeah.
is crazy. Right. And it was, again, the physiology. I went
Yeah.
so red line, completely off. And I literally was losing my mind. I
Yeah.
was panicking.
Yes.
And I knew how to swim. I'm not a good swimmer, but of course, I knew how to swim. I knew how to swim since I was 5.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, I thought I was going to drown. And I did the same thing you did. I'm like, look, dude, you don't have to do this. Why are you doing this? No, it's float like a cork, float like a cork. I'm not, that's what I kept hearing. You're talking
That's great.
negative Nancy. I was like, float like a cork. Okay, I'm going to float like a cork. And I swam to the first buoy with my head out of the water.
That's fine. Yes.
And I'm just
Mhm.
swimming water polo style.
Yeah.
And then I get to that first buoy, and I'm like sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. What am I going to do? Okay, just swim to the next buoy. Same thing,
Yeah.
polo style. Same
Yeah.
kind of thing. And then eventually I'm like, all right, put your head down. Just try one stroke. Head in that water. It was amazing, right? Again, this was pre-understanding
Right.
polyvagal theory. Looking
Yeah.
back now, I would have come around that, right? So I
Yes.
think the lesson to everyone here, or what might be helpful, is just recognizing that as a physiological adaptive
Yes.
response, full on survival mode for very good reason, a lot
Yes.
of other energy and a lot of excitement around you. So other nervous systems also near their threshold,
Mhm.
a lot going on. It makes total sense. How can I help to reassure my body I'm actually okay?
Yeah.
How can I help? And part of that's what you were doing, psychological. Part of
Mhm.
that's reassuring myself, yeah, you know how to swim, float like a cork, all that.
Yeah.
The other part of it is actually I could have slowed down my breathing. Could have
Oh, yeah.
just
Yeah.
doggy paddled, right? Just doggy paddle for a little
Yes.
bit and deliberately slow down the breath, take longer exhales, let that heart rate really settle, right? Maybe swim on my back so I'm still
Yeah.
looking up at the sky and
I
all
did
that. So
some
take in nature,
breaststrokes that I could
breaststrokes,
see.
like all those things, and take in the beauty, take
Yeah.
in the, oh, there is a lifeguard over there.
Yeah.
Okay. Make eye contact with them. Hey, buddy, keep an eye on me. Okay, here we
Yeah.
go. There would
Yeah.
have been many ways again, to find what other cues, what other sources, other people, nature, other cues of safety that can coexist in that moment of fear and panic, because they do exist.
Yeah.
And just how can I find them?
And I think, thank goodness that I had been through the course because I don't know what would have happened had I not taken all of this knowledge with me. But I knew right away, like a quarter mile in, okay, yeah, sympathetic is way off the chart. The heart rate, I didn't look to see what it
Yeah.
was, but it wasn't good. I could feel it. And we had just started. There's no possibility
Yes.
my heart rate
Oh,
needs to
yeah.
be 200.
No,
Yeah, but
totally.
reassuring myself to know that I was safe was really what I
Mhm.
needed to tap into.
Totally. And or even that, having those other cues of reassurance and safety are also possible. They can coexist. That might not make you feel safe in the moment yet,
Yes.
but just having that awareness of what else is also available. And sometimes that's just inside. It's, oh, I can actually start reorganizing my own breathing. I can readjust my posture. I can change where I'm orienting or how I'm orienting. So that's always available.
Yes.
And also, oh, there is someone I know over there. Oh, okay. There is a lifeguard. Oh, there's a bird on the buoy. Oh, check that out. Look.
Yes.
So there's other things too that can coexist. That life is still okay at the same time. That your heart rate's still going.
Yes.
It might not slow heart rate yet, but just that in and of itself, that level of awareness and looking for what else can coexist, in my own experience, can be the beginning of, oh, coming back. Can
Yeah.
be.
I maybe this is a good transition point to ask. I want to ask about bringing this into day to day, not even really into running or
Hmm.
athletics. So I coach a lot of busy professionals. They tend to
Hmm.
be physicians and lawyers, people with a lot going on. We all have a lot
Yep.
going on in the
Yes.
world that we live in
Absolutely.
right now.
Yes.
And I
Hmm.
know I can speak for myself that for a long time I felt like I was on a treadmill and I didn't really know
Yep.
how to get off of the treadmill. So
Yep.
can you talk a little bit about what's step one for someone who feels like they're on the treadmill? I saying to have awareness, I love that as the goal, but I don't know, maybe something even smaller to start with because it just feels so much like we are going at crazy speeds, full speed ahead.
So just accept it. We are.
Okay.
I think that unfortunately, accept it because that's this culture
Yeah.
that's ultra competitive. It's performance based.
Yeah.
Almost everything that we do from preschool on, right, is performance based. It's highly comparative.
Yeah.
We're constantly comparing ourselves to everyone else. We're being evaluated. So accept it. That's this race that we're a part of. Even when we're not running, we're a part of it.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the first place. I'm going to accept that. Okay. Now, what do I do with that? I, in my own life, I would go with it at times and run with the crowd and the herd,
Yeah.
but we have to step out of the herd from time to time. We have to. When we understand this, that even if it's play, even if it's super fun and we're running all
Yeah.
the time, and yeah,
Yes.
I'm running with all my friends, there's only so much resource in the tank. Our bodies can only do so much. So I that to me is the place to start, is just accept it. Accept that's what I'm living in. Most of the people that I'm around are also
Yeah.
living in that. Okay. So do we just not acknowledge it? No, I acknowledge it. That's what it is. Okay. And then I look for the very small ways. I go to the supermarket and I talk to people, just walk around. And instead of being on my phone,
Yes.
I look up. And I walk and I talk to people and I make conversation with the people. I help bag my own groceries and I talk.
Hmm.
Or if my wife and I go together, we joke with each other with them. So I look for the little things that we can do that are really about connecting to others and just slowing it down, slowing it down, right? I'm not looking to get off the treadmill. I think you can go off grid. And I
Yes.
know plenty of people. Santa Barbara's full of people with a lot of resource who
Yeah.
then just go off grid and okay, that's not how I look at this. I look at this as how do we stay in the race? How do we hop off the treadmill? You were talking about a treadmill. How do we hop off, either stand with our feet along the sides so the
Yes.
treadmill's still running and we're recovering, right? How do we step off completely? It's still running
Yeah.
and reassure ourselves, I'm not falling behind. I know the
Hmm.
world is telling me I'm falling behind. I
Hmm.
know everyone around me is still running on the treadmill,
Hmm.
but I'm going to actually step off the treadmill and I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to maybe connect with somebody. I'm going to take my dog for a walk. I'm going to do whatever I can,
Yeah.
at least in the moments that are available, to slow it down, but not slow it down with social media
No.
or other
Right.
types of
Right.
distractions. So that's where, for me, the stuff that I was teaching when I had my gym and my facility, which was all about habit change and it was all about behavior science and it was creating these different habits and different things. And I was really coming at all of this from more of a top down, more of a thought and behavior, which would then change feeling and emotion and ultimately lead to health.
Yeah.
Now I go from both ends. Polyvagal theory took it to the other end and said, no, it's in the physiology. How do you help the nervous system relax and settle? Or how do you start there? To me, it's both, and they go hand in hand. And I still think there's real value in the behaviors and the environments, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, looking at that's why when you ask me about the running piece, what are we running for or what are we running away from? And it's the same thing on the treadmill. What are we really on the treadmill for? The
Hmm.
culture tells us we're running on the treadmill so that we get to the finish line. And when we get to the finish line, then we can relax and then we'll
No.
feel good and we live, quote, the good life. The problem is the stuff that we're promised that will give us the good life is not what our biology is after. And if we run on the treadmill long enough, and we don't stop along the way and straddle the treadmill or get off the treadmill or run with a friend along the treadmill, we're going to get to the treadmill end and nothing's changed in our biology or physiology. So we're not going to know what to do with ourselves. We're going to be stuck running on a treadmill that's no longer there.
Yep. And I find that the finish line keeps moving.
Keeps going. That's why it's a treadmill. There is no finish. But even if the power goes out and the
Yeah.
treadmill stops, if we haven't guided our physiology and made connections and figured out how to stop here and there along the run, we're not going to be able to stop. We're gonna run off the front of the treadmill.
Yeah. This is great advice.
So that's how I look at it. And so it's acceptance and it's also, look, that's not easy to do.
No.
That's not easy to do. And it's not like you're going to be, oh, I'm off the treadmill and now I'm just, oh, this life is so good.
Yeah.
That's not human either. So to me, I've lowered my expectations. There's the other part. Lower the expectations. It's not about being happy. It's about being with.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
I try to plan I know this sounds crazy, planning blank space in my calendar if I have a day off.
Yes.
It is very easy to stack, right? Zoom
Yes.
meetings or coaching
Yes.
calls and if I have blank space, I feel like I should be doing something. I should be
Oh, I
writing a training
know.
plan. I should be
Oh,
doing
yeah.
so planning and saying, no, this is blank space. You could
Blank
take a nap,
space.
you could read a book.
I love it.
Before I let you go, can you tell everybody about your book that's coming out early next year?
Yeah, so it's called The Performance Code, and the subtitle as of right now is The New Science of Achieving Under Pressure, because it's the treadmill that you're
Yeah.
talking about. So this is written for all of us who are on that race to acquire. whatever that is. And the goal of this for me, and very much I think it's the very similar goal that you have, is how do we still achieve our goals, our dreams, whatever those are? It's not for you or for me to say, this is what's important to you. No, it's whatever is important to you. How do we achieve that? Not from an attempt to acquire something we lack, but as an authentic expression of already being enough, right? To me, that is part psychology, part culture, but a really big part is our physiology, where we started this conversation. So that's what this book is about. And the metaphor I bring throughout is athletics. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's written through the lens of athletes I've worked with, athletes I've observed, and a large part of that, it's many different sports, but a large part of that is tennis, because tennis to me is very much a parallel to life. We're out there on the court. Often we feel alone. There's nowhere to hide. Everything, we're only as good as our last performance. The more successful we become, the more people we bring
Mm-hmm.
on to our team and we have to support them. So
Mm-hmm.
you can see it's a very much a parallel for life. So that's what this book is about from this perspective, is how do we acknowledge that? How do we see what we're really in, what we're involved with? And how might there be an approach through the physiology that we can find a way to feel safe enough, connected enough, and enough as we reach for achievement. So it turns into aspiring and inspiration versus I have to do this or
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
So that's the book. It'll be out in by March 1st.
I'll leave that link in the show notes.
Great. Yeah. Awesome.
And then tell everybody where they can find you or if they're interested in taking the
Okay.
play
Yeah.
zone.
So you can just go to theplayzone.com, and that has information about the course that you took and some other things. Or you could go to polyvagal.org. That's the institute, the Polyvagal Institute. And then if you're interested in the performance code, you can go to theperformancecode.com and sign up there. I won't email you, but I'll let you know when the book comes out.
Perfect. I will go there and I will leave your links in the show notes. Thank
Okay,
you.
awesome. Thank
This was a
you.
wonderful
Thank you.
conversation and very, very robust, I think.
And very honest.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for joining us,
Sure.
and we'll see you next week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening today. If you enjoyed the episode, please share it with a friend. And if you have a moment, please rate and review the podcast so that we can reach and encourage others to tie on their sneakers and join us out there on a run. See you next time.